Welcome to the Denim and Pearls podcast. Business casual conversation laced with pearls of wisdom. Casual, authentic, unscripted dialogue about life, work, and entrepreneurship with the perfect blend of laughter and seriousness. Pull up a chair, kick back, and lean in as we welcome your hosts, Michelle Ross and Brian Swanson.
Hello. How you doing?
I was trying to get to our post so I could share it.
Oh.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michelle Ross.
I'm Brian Swanson.
We are Denim and Pearls. We are business casual.
With pearls of wisdom.
From the porch.
So we got all kinds of pearls of wisdom today.
Do we?
This is kind of, we always do everything so upbeat. So it's going to be hard to do this one upbeat.
You're no good. You're no good. You're no good. Baby, you're no good.
Yeah, little Linda Ronstadt.
She's awesome.
She is awesome. But she was the inspiration for this show today. And before we get into that, don't forget to like and share. And Michelle's trying to do the same thing at the same time.
I did. Not trying, I did.
I was looking at trying to call this show Mr. Cellophane, but I
Why?
think just because we were listening to a track from or a YouTube video about Linda Ronstadt. It was only posted a couple weeks ago. And it was talking about the people in her life that kind of did her wrong. And it got me to thinking that sometimes we're just not noticed, or we're noticed by the wrong people, or there's some people that your morals, your standards, your ethics, whatever it is, they don't line up. And she had a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
Which was interesting. I mean, everybody knows who Linda Ronstadt is.
And if you don't, look her up.
Yeah. And what I didn't know, which was the first thing out of the box in the video, was the Eagles were her backup band.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's pretty
They
amazing.
were her backup band before they hit it big with Hotel California.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we know them all from, we know the Eagles. Everybody knows the Eagles. If you don't, well, look them up. But they hit it big and they pushed her to the side.
They dissed her.
They dissed her. That's definitely a good word for it. So I thought it was kind of interesting from the standpoint that sometimes we go through life and we think we've got it made and we're successful, and all of a sudden there's somebody out there that just don't line up no more. I mean, heck, even from that standpoint, relationships are that way. Mm-hmm. 23 years of marriage. Oh my God, it's divorce time, and down the drain it goes. Well, sometimes things just don't line up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not an excuse. Don't get me wrong, as far as being married, and that you should be able to at least get over your differences, in my opinion. But
friendships happen that way. Business associates happen that way. And that's what got us thinking on the Linda Ronstadt thing was, you look at her and you see her music and everything she's done has been so amazing, not realizing that, yeah, she had breakups too, basically, where people were like, yeah, or she went, no, I don't want to be a part of that anymore.
Yeah, because, it was one, I think it was like with Neil Young, it was, talent. What did she say? Whoever she worked with had to be talented and nice.
And nice. They had to have good hearts.
And just one of them didn't fit the bill.
Yeah.
And there was a couple instances within this little video where they talk about some of those people were not so nice.
So basically, in your life, who have you figured out that you need to get away from? Or have they walked away from you and you've been brokenhearted about it? Because they don't have to all be, fairy tales and moon dust. Oh yeah, we were apart and that's a good thing. But usually when someone leaves your life for one way or another, or a company fires you and you don't have that job anymore, it usually opens a door for bigger and better things. And Linda Ronstadt is a good example. Doors kept opening for her. Because
I know Linda was a big name, and so were the Eagles, and they mentioned Rolling Stone guy, Mick Jagger, and a couple others. They name a few, and we don't really want to.
No, I want to get off of that there. I'm going to us.
But what I wonder in that situation, to counteract the fact that, okay, you can just sometimes put people off to the side and you can move on with your life and do the things. But I also wonder, listening to that video, what would have happened if they would have stayed together?
They wouldn't be as big as they are.
Well, that you don't know. That
Yeah.
I mean, no, we none of us have a crystal ball on
Well,
that
I would
one.
think they wouldn't because they both had different talents. They had different paths, and that's why they parted in the first place. And so I would think so, like with Journey, when Steve Perry left, right?
Right.
Journey kept going. Steve Perry disappeared.
Well, Perry left because of his vocals.
Yeah,
his
he was
vocal
sick.
cords.
But then when he came back and they tried to get back together again, their personalities clashed. And so back to us, back to you, in your life, in your business, when something separates in your life and you're heartbroken about it, realize that there's other things out there, and that if you did try to go back to that person or that organization or that relationship you would realize that you don't mesh anymore. The trust is gone. The belief in the future is gone.
Well, it's one of I think it's in that statement, it's you got to grow together.
Mhm.
And if you don't grow together, that's where problems come in.
Mhm.
So whether even if it's in personal life or what have you, if you don't both grow at the same rate, then there can be conflicts.
Well, and that's why when you do a
And if you
business
separate
plan,
and don't come back,
they always people always advise that you need to have a goal. You need to have something further out, a unified goal that everyone matches to, because that's what happens is when you're together and you have a dream and you've got some big goal and the other person's got a big goal, but if they're not going to grow in the same direction, you're going to pull apart naturally.
yes.
Well, and I think that's what they were her backup band, but their big goal was we don't want to be a backup band for the rest of our career.
Well, sometimes that has to do with they get a taste of fame.
Yeah. So
And once
and that's okay.
because they hit it big with Hotel California, and once they did that, and Glenn Fry, and that was where I guess her conflict was him, not necessarily the entire band. They don't get into that,
but my thought is, we all have those relationships. We all have those breakups, and what we should be talking about in Denim and Pearls today is how do you get through those? It's not usually about you. It's about everyone. You know what I mean? When the breakup happens. Because that's why Linda just kind of walked away. She's like, okay, well, fine. You go do your thing. I'll go do my thing. Right?
Uh-huh. I'm just looking at you so I can translate where I'm going here.
Oh, because you keep going back to the video, and I don't want to have to link the video.
Well, I think the video is a good example.
Yeah.
It speaks highly to, I mean, it speaks about success, but it also speaks about, moving on for your own success.
And what was really cool about that video, since you want to stay there, is that she didn't drag them through the mud.
Oh no, that was a big.
And that's a huge thing in our world nowadays with social media. People do so and so did me wrong, and they're blah 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 blah, and start talking smack about other people, and it's like, just let them go.
Well, everything's like that nowadays. It doesn't matter what you say. You could say that ice cream is awesome, and there's going to be 20 other people that come along and say,
it's bad for you.
It's bad for you, and it's got too much sugar in it.
Let them go. Let them be. Let it go.
Because somebody's sitting behind a keyboard in that situation.
But let it go. So if you are in a relationship or no longer in a relationship, business-wise or personal, and you part ways, let it be.
Move on.
Keep growing.
As they say.
Yeah.
Doors are always open for you.
Well, because I'm thinking yeah. I mean, I've had many business relationships that have gone away, and it wasn't because we hate each other. It just wasn't working anymore.
Right.
But we're still friends. We're just not there together.
Well, that's
anymore.
all. We were talking about it the other day when we did the radio show before. It wasn't on air, but we were talking about it too, about, when you go through health issues like you did, and the friends who stay and the friends who go. Not everybody's always a friend. Sometimes they're just acquaintances.
Well, and their season, was that reason, the season, or lesson?
Huh?
People come into your life for a reason, a season, or lesson. Ever heard that?
I don't think I ever have.
Yeah, they come in for a reason. Sometimes they just come for a season of your life, and sometimes they're just a lesson.
That's deep. I think we can quit now. I don't think, that's pretty doggone deep. I mean,
it's deep, but it's true.
Wow.
Everyone you meet, you are going to learn from them in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes they're there for a really good reason to help you through whatever you're in or get you to the next level. Sometimes it's just a season of your life that you're doing one thing and that's the perfect person to be with you at that point in time. And sometimes they're just a good, strong lesson of not doing what you were doing, or a great strong lesson that you're on the right
it could be
path.
anything, because I'm a firm believer. Somebody told me a long time ago, and we spoke of this before, where everything that touches rubs off on the other.
Mhm.